If you are working hard and still feel as though money disappears the moment it touches your hands, I want to tell you something that may sting at first and then free you. You do not have a money shortage first. You have a system shortage. I know that sounds harsh, but listen to me. 7 out of 10 people are living paycheck to paycheck. 7 out of 10, stop and feel the weight of that for a second. That means this is not some private defect that belongs only to you. It means the majority of people are running on a treadmill that looks normal from the outside and feels exhausting from the inside. It means millions of people wake up, work, pay, react, worry, repeat, and call that a financial life. That is not a financial life. That is a financial emergency stretched across decades, and here is the part that matters. If you are stuck in that cycle, you are not stupid, you are not lazy, you are not broken, you are just participating in a system without realizing that the system is already participating in you. That is what most people miss. Either you have a plan for your money or someone else has a plan for your money. Those are not clever words. That is the game itself. If you do not tell your money where to go, the world will do it for you. Your phone will do it. Your subscriptions will do it. Your credit cards will do it. Your habits will do it. Your convenient spending will do it. Your fear will do it. And by the time you look up, the paycheck is gone and the future is still standing outside the window waiting to be invited in. I have watched people spend 20 years saying the same sentence. I just need to make more money. Sometimes that is true, but it is one of the biggest myths in personal finance that if you make more money, you will automatically become rich. You will not become rich simply by making more money. You become rich by making money and then keeping some of it. That sounds obvious. It is also where millions of people fail. They increase their income, but their system stays chaotic, their defaults stay expensive, their future keeps getting whatever is left over after the rest of life takes its turn. And future money built on leftovers is weak money. That is why I want to tell this story in the plainest way I know. You do not get rich in days, you get rich in decades. You do not get out of debt in days. You get out of debt by deciding that the way you have been living is no longer acceptable, and then you build a structure strong enough to survive your own habits. That is where everything changes. Pain can make that decision for you. Clarity can make that decision for you. Usually it is one of those two things. Some people need enough pain that they finally become sick of themselves, sick of the denial, sick of the stress, sick of the shame, sick of the constant low-grade dread every time the phone buzzes or the bill arrives or the checking account gets lower than it should be. Other people get clarity. They suddenly see a future they actually want and realize the current path will never get them there. But in both cases, the decision is the hinge before the decision. Money happens to you. After the decision, you begin happening to money. When I was younger, I learned this from an older woman who understood money better than most rich men I would meet later. She looked at life very simply. There were consumers, there were employees, and there were owners. That lesson never left me. People spend their whole lives consuming and laboring, then wonder why they never feel free. Freedom tends to accumulate with ownership, not slogans. Ownership. That is why I say there are two escalators to wealth in America, and most people step onto neither real estate and stocks. You do not need to love the system. You need to understand it. The tax code, the incentives, the structures, all of them tilt toward people who own productive assets. If you never become an investor, the economy does not politely wait for you. It leaves you behind while smiling at people who own the ride. That is the hard truth. But the hopeful truth is even more important. Today, it is easier than ever to start with small amounts. A young person can literally begin by investing change. A person with a modest job can open a Roth IRA. A person without a 401k can still automate. A person who thinks they missed the window has not missed the window, unless they use regret as an excuse to remain passive. It is never too late unless you give up. That line is not motivational fluff. It is arithmetic mixed with time and discipline. Now let me tell you what most people actually have. They do not have a plan. They have what I would call a no-plan plan. The paycheck comes in, then it runs out the door. Rent, food, health care, car payment, streaming, phone shopping, a few indulgences, a little convenience, a little relief, a little denial. Then nothing is left and the month starts over. A no-plan plan is still a plan. It is just a terrible one because it hands priority to whatever is loudest in the moment. A good life is not built by whatever is loudest in the moment. It is built by what you place first on purpose. So what is the better system? First, know what matters, not what sounds good in theory, not what looks admirable on social media. What actually matters to you. Family, peace, health, freedom, time, community. Nature, creativity, security, whatever it is, write it down. Then line up your spending beside your values and ask the rude question, do they match? Most people spend money in ways that are in direct conflict with what they claim matters most. That is one reason they feel so strangely empty even when the spending looked normal. Money spent against your values creates internal friction. Money spent in line with your values creates clarity. Second, separate your money into jobs. The future security dreams. This is one of the most useful ideas in the source material, and it is one most people never live by. Most people dump all money into one emotional pile and then react from that pile. That is chaos. Money should have assignments. Future money, security money, dream money. Once each dollar has a job, spending gets easier because every casual swipe is now stealing from something with a name. Third, automate what matters before you trust yourself to behave. I do not trust discipline when a system can do the work better. Discipline gets tired. Systems keep working after the novelty fades. That is why the principle of paying yourself first matters so much. The first hour of the day belongs to you, not to your lifestyle, not to your landlord, not to your subscriptions, not to your panic, not to your latest impulse. 1 hour a day of your income, automatically directed toward your future, is one of the cleanest and most powerful ideas in modern personal finance. It is about 12.5% of gross income. People hear that and panic. I understand, but what they miss is that this money can go in before taxes in a 401k, which reduces the real sting. And more importantly, they will adjust faster than they think. By the third month, many people barely notice what felt impossible at the start. Now, if you truly cannot start with 12%, then start with 1%. That idea is more powerful than it sounds, because 1% changes your identity. It turns you into someone who has begun, then you raise it 1% this month, another step later. A person who waits until the perfect percentage feels comfortable is often still waiting years later. A person who starts small is already moving, and movement matters more than fantasy. This is what many people do not understand about wealth. Wealth is less about giant heroic decisions than it is about automatic alignment. Once the money starts moving to the correct places before you can interfere with it, the future finally gets a vote. And the evidence is not theoretical. There are ordinary workers with ordinary jobs who became 401k millionaires by saving around 14% for long enough. Not lottery winners, not geniuses, not market prophets. People who consistently paid themselves first. Ordinary discipline repeated long enough looks extraordinary at the end. Now let me make something very practical. If your job offers a 401k, use it. If there is a match, take it. If you do not understand the options, choose the target date fund that corresponds roughly to your retirement year and move on. I know people love drama in investing. They love stock picking, stories, predictions, and the fantasy that sophistication lives in complexity. Most people do not need complexity. They need survival. A target date fund is simple, diversified, professionally managed, and built to become more conservative over time. It exists to protect people from their own urge to overcomplicate. And for heaven's sake, when you change jobs, do not cash out the 401k. Young people do this all the time because $10,000 feels like a small amount in the present. It is not a small amount in time. It is not only the taxes and penalties that hurt you. It is the decades of compounding you just strangled in exchange for a quick trip, a patch, a distraction, or a little relief. A rollover matters, and not only that, the money must remain invested after the rollover. One of the ugliest mistakes in the source material is this. People roll over the account, think they did the smart thing, and the money lands in cash. Now they have an account, but no compounding. Another hidden mistake is getting defaulted into a lower contribution rate at the new employer. That one error can quietly cost a life-changing amount. If you do not have a 401k, that is not permission to do nothing. You create your own automation, Roth IRA if it fits, traditional IRA if that fits better. Checking account linked to the investment account, money pulled the day after the paycheck lands. Do not wait to see if there is anything left. Leftovers do not build wealth, systems do. And while you are doing that, you also need a security account. Emergency money, liquid. Not for vacations, not for redoing the yard, not for buying something, because you felt deprived for emergencies. Put it where it is safe and accessible. High-yield savings, money market, something boring. This account is not there to make you rich. It is there to keep stupid emergencies from turning into new debt, new stress, and new dependence. If your life is unstable, this matters as much as a retirement account because it protects the machine from everyday chaos. Then there is the dream account. This is one of the smarter distinctions in the source. Dreams are not emergencies, and they are not retirement. They are the middle distance of life. A house, a move, a goal with a time horizon. The horizon determines the risk. 1 to 2 years, keep it safe. 5 years, you can take a little more risk. 7 years, more still. The point is not that every dream belongs in one product. The point is that dreams should be funded, not wished at. Dreams come true when money is assigned to them before life spends it elsewhere. Now let me talk to young people directly. The biggest investing myth told to young people is not that they should take risk. It is that taking risk means buying garbage. That is where so many people get lost. They hear that youth equals risk tolerance. Then they start buying meme stocks, coins, narratives, anything with excitement attached to it. They save, then lose it. Save, then lose it. By their late 20s or early 30s, they decide the whole game is rigged. No, the game was not rigged. They confuse disciplined risk with undisciplined speculation. Young people who simply buy low-cost index funds have something to show for their effort. Those who keep gambling often end up with stories and no capital. I prefer the boring answer. Broad index funds. BTI if you want one shorthand from the source, because it represents broad ownership of America through thousands of stocks. Not because the specific ticker is magical, because diversification is simplicity, is low cost, is boring survives. And survival is what gives compounding a chance to become beautiful. Now let us talk about the number that really wakes people up. $10,000 when people are asked how much money would change their life. The number one answer is often $10,000. Not a million, not 100,000, 10,000. Why? Because 10,000 can buy breathing room. It can pay off some debt. It can buy freedom from a job or relationship that has become intolerable. 10,000 is not wealth. It is oxygen. And here is where the lesson becomes unforgettable. It only takes $27.40 a day to spend $10,000 in a year. That is all $27.40. That is the amount of money people lose in convenience, subscriptions, delivery, rides, little leaks, tiny indulgences. They barely even register. But that same $27.40 per Dalton Y invested for 40 years at around a 10% annual return becomes a fortune. That is what makes opportunity cost so violent. The little leak was never little. It was a future fortune wearing the costume of a daily habit. This is why I tell people to stop saying, it is only $5. It is never only $5 if it happens every day and you do not know why it is happening. A small repeated decision is not small. It is structural. That is why the 100-day savings challenge works so well for people with nothing saved. $10 a day for 100 days, not because $1,000 solves your life, because it proves to you that you can redirect money on purpose. A jar, a separate account, something visible. The amount matters less than the identity you begin to build. I am now someone who keeps money instead of letting all of it escape. That is a life-changing sentence, if you actually begin living it. Now let me speak to those of you who think you started too late. You did not start early. Fine, start anyway. A woman in her 50s once asked for a book called Start Late, Finish Rich. The answer she got was wonderfully unromantic. Save $20 a day. If both spouses do it, that is $40 a day. Over 15 years, it could become roughly $500,000. Is $500,000 perfect? Number, is it better than nothing? Of course it is. This is why I say regret is useless unless it turns into contribution. Your 50s are not the end of the game. They may actually be one of the best catching up seasons because the kids may be leaving, earnings may be better, and energy still exists. It is later than ideal. It is not too late. And then there is debt. Debt is where hope goes to suffocate if you let it. The most hopeful thing in the source material is not the debt formula. It is the emotional truth that you begin to feel better before you are debt-free. The moment you start digging out, you start to breathe again. That is true because debt is not only a number. It is a state of avoidance. Bills unopened, accounts avoided, shame multiplying in the dark. The moment you print the statements, write down the balances, write down the interest rates, write down the minimums, and stop pretending something shifts. You are not free yet, but you are no longer hiding. And that matters. I actually like the debt section of this source because it is not trying to sound elegant. It is trying to get people moving. Pay the smallest card off first if you need momentum. Reduce the number of cards. Stop taking store cards. 10% off today often means 25% pain later. Automatic minimum payments protect you from late fees. Calling and moving billing dates can make the whole structure easier to manage. None of those steps are glamorous. They are effective. And yes, you need a money date. I like that phrase because it turns dread into appointment. This is not something you do once when life collapses. This is something you schedule. Monthly if you are in the thick of it, once or twice a year after the structure is running. Most couples talk about money when one person is emotionally ready and the other is not. That is a terrible way to build a household. A money date says we will sit down, look together, make decisions together, and turn the vague pressure into clear action. It is not romantic in the normal sense. It is intimate in the adult sense. Now let me say something particularly important for women. Widows, divorcees, and anyone in a relationship where one person handles the money, that arrangement is not harmless. If something happens to the other person and you do not know where the accounts are, where the passwords are, where the insurance is, where the will is, whether there even is a will, you are not secure, you are dependent and unaware of it. You cannot afford not to know. Widowhood can wipe people out financially. Divorce can destroy people who never learned where the money actually was. The ugly drill to run is this: if my spouse died tomorrow, what would I need to know? The answer is almost everything. If that thought scares you, good, use the fear properly. Build the folders, gather the statements, know the accounts, know the bill flow, know the will, know the insurance. Secrecy is expensive, ignorance is worse, and if you want a home one day, then be honest about that too. Your first home is not your dream home. It may not be in the neighborhood you imagined. It may not be as nice as what you rent. It may be small. It may require patience, but dreams come true when they are funded. That line is one of the best in the whole document. Dreams come true when they are funded. So if homeownership matters to you, then the dream account matters, the emergency fund matters, the automatic retirement still matters, the numbers matter. Not because life should be reduced to accounts, but because a dream without funding is just a fantasy wearing adult clothes. If I had to compress this whole reference document into one Buffett-style lesson, it would be this: money should be used to free yourself from panic, from dependence, from chaos, from old mistakes, from the feeling that every month starts behind, from the belief that your future belongs to whatever happens to you next. And the way you do that is not through one genius move. You do it by making money automatic on your side. Automatic investing, automatic retirement contributions, automatic security money, automatic dream funding, automatic bill management, automatic distance between you and the habits that keep trying to drag you backward. That is what an automatic millionaire really means. Not glamour, not complexity, not perfect timing, not better luck. A structure where your future gets paid first and the rest of life learns to adjust. That is what I would want you to remember. No one is coming. Fine, good, because once you really accept that, you stop waiting, you start building, and once you start building, even before you are rich, even before the debt is gone, even before the account gets big, something changes that is worth more than most people realize. You begin to feel hope, because now your money finally knows where it is going. And for most people, that is the moment life starts changing, so do not tell me you need a miracle. What you need is a yellow pad, a little courage, a few automatic transfers, a refusal to keep lying to yourself, and enough patience to let the machine finally start working. You need to know which dollars are for survival, which are for security, which are for dreams, and which are for the future version of you who deserves to arrive at 60 or 70 with more than memories of working hard. You need to stop calling chaos normal. You need to stop saying someday, and you need to stop acting as if a better financial life belongs to other people who were somehow chosen for it. It does not belong to them. It belongs to the people who build a plan and then let the plan keep working. After the mood of the day has passed, that is why I say the automatic economy can either make you rich or keep you poor. It all depends on whether you finally decide to put the automatic part on your side. Once you do that, the whole future stops feeling random. It starts feeling earned.